This is Appalling News, your most trusted source for fake real news. I'm Paul Chatto. First, we take you to Canada's loony left coast of British Columbia, a province so far left it hates its own name. This story starts back in 2019 when Jessica Yaniv, formerly Jonathan, took several Vancouver area estheticians to the BC Human Rights Tribunal for refusing to wax her balls, a common request of many women. The tribunal found that Yaniv's predominant motive in filing her waxing complaints is not to prevent or remedy alleged discrimination, but to target small businesses for personal financial gain. The complaint was dismissed. But you can't keep a good female erection down. Jessica reemerged as Jessica Simpson in their new persona as Métis. In Canada, the Métis are a recognized Indigenous group of predominantly native French and Scottish amalgamation, regional to mostly Manitoba. If a man can self-identify as a woman, why not a follower of Louis Riel as well? In this ex-post, Jessica writes, "My Métis name is Keshkewachewashewin. It means serenity in Cree, a word you'll choke on as you watch a Métis woman descended from buffalo hunters La Chasse Galère and Red River Fire dismantle the settler colonial rot you clutch like a blood-soaked treaty. Your hatred dies screaming." Doesn't sound very serene to us. But of course, it doesn't end there because Pocahontas filed another human rights complaint, this time with the Ontario Human Rights Code that is only coming up for decision now. Why? Because Jessica applied to be a contestant in a Canadian Galaxy pageant, which does accept transgender contestants, but only if they've gone full gelding. The Kentucky Derby entrant is seeking damages in the amount of $10,000 for injury to dignity and feelings, and is asking the Human Rights Tribunal of Ontario to rule that an organization cannot refuse service to someone just because that person has male genitals. As we always say here at Appalling News, men make the best women. Staying up here in the great witless north, we are caught up in playoff hockey, and Les Habitants, also known as the Montreal Canadiens, are in the thick of it as of this writing. For you out-of-towners, Quebec is Canada's petulant French-speaking child that is fearful of any display of English, lest it makes it easier for tourists to enjoy their vacation there. And so, its French-language gestapo is always on the lookout for transgressors. And there is no shortage of Quebecois quislings happy to snitch on prevaricators. This time, the offender was the Montreal Transit System, or Société de Transport de Montréal. On the bus's destination messaging board was displayed "Go Habs Go," a classic cheer that goes back decades. Well, this was too much for one poutine-fancying snitch who complained to the Office Québécois de la Langue Française. STM buses now display the message "Allez, Canadiens, allez," which absolutely no one shouts at the Montreal Canadiens arena. Meanwhile, after 18 months of complaints, Quebec continues to allow mobs festooned with face-covering terrorist diapers to take over its streets, block traffic, while shouting for the genocide of all Jewish people while vandalizing Jewish establishments. As long as it's not done in English, it's okay. And speaking of quislings, once again, we have a lefty Scottish parliamentarian, the same party that wanted to put sausage danglers into women's prisons, making a complete nonce of herself rather than admit her history of utter foolishness.
We've talked about biological sex a number of times. Not one person has been able to explain what biological sex was.
This MSP of indeterminate fashion sense claims that not one person can explain what biological sex is. This is probably due to the fact that the Scottish have no idea how babies are made. They think it's a scone.
The member over there gave a good stab at it, talking about XX and XY chromosomes. I have no idea what my chromosomes are. I have an assumption that they are probably XY, but I don't know. I've not got a clue what my chromosomes are. I've got a fair idea of what my genitals look like and how that compares to what other people's genitals look like.
Apparently, her colleague took a stab at explaining biological sex, mentioning XX and XY chromosomes. She has no idea what her chromosomes are, apparently. Thankfully, she has an idea what her genitals look like, useful when pleasuring oneself. Notice the reaction of the person behind her. That was also our reaction.
But if we're talking about biological sex and we are requiring that to be the definition, there needs to be an actual definition that everybody in this room can agree with. And it is not the case that anybody has been able to provide a definition on this.
Yes, you stupid woman. It has been defined. Just pick up the fucking phone and call Richard Dawkins. You just refuse to accept reality because it goes against your ideological prison. But one thing we can be certain of, you do not have a gay son, or he would never let you out of the house wearing Carl Sagan's burial shroud. This is Appalling News, and that's the way it is.